Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Awakening with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Adams, musician and transformational life coach, bringing you powerful wisdom, helpful tools, and inspiring music to support you on your journey of awakening. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about the journey from the head to the heart. I'm going to make up a little song. It's a long way from the head to the heart. It's a journey of many steps, but we just have to start. What is it that takes us up into that mind anyway? Why is it so easy to leave the present moment and go away? Well, it's a long way from the head to the heart. So that's just a little ditty that I just made up. So the topic for today is one that I think a lot of us can relate to. Is this topic of how do we quiet the mind? How do we gain some kind of mastery over the mind so that the mind doesn't have mastery over us, right? This is a big question. It is springtime in Portland, Oregon, and my neighbors have their lawnmowers and different things going on. So I'll definitely review this episode to see if it's too loud with background. But it is springtime. Blossoms are blossoming. Buds are burgeoning. And so when we think of this fecundity, this fertility and fecundity and joy happen when we are experiencing a fusion of our different brains. When we can feel our body brain, our mind brain, our heart brain, our solar plexus brain, we can feel all of these working in concert. Now, in our society, very often we're dominated by the mental body, by the cerebral cortex, because we live in a world where we're really in a survival-based experience. Being in an economy, being in a situation where, here in the United States anyway, medicine is not socialized, right? We have to pay for our medical care, and we have to have a job if we want medical coverage. So, and we need money, right? We need money for our house, money for our food, money for our children, money for our cars, money for so many things. And we have to work to make this money. And many of us are self-employed, cultural creatives, trying to create our own livelihood, our own employment, because we need to feel that freedom. So it leaves you up in the brain a lot, strategizing and wondering, oh, should I do that? Maybe I should do that. Like for me, like creating this podcast, like, oh, what should I put on that podcast? And how do I record that introduction? And what pictures should I put on the video? And how am I going to market this podcast, right? There's immediately all these degrees of separation from just being present in the heart, right? In our tribal communities, which we've spent 99.9% of our time as human beings, has been in tribal situations where there's no economy that we have to participate in. Sure, we have to hunt the food or raise the food through agriculture, but basically we're in this big community network. We're very supported by the tribe. We're living very closely with the earth, with the land. Our structures are made of things from the land. So our expenses are low and we are not separate from the earth and we're not separate from one another. But in this time, in our modern progressive civilization, we do experience this level of separation and survival. And so oftentimes this takes us away from the peace and the beauty of embodiment. And so I'm going to sing another song. So there's a song called Om Peace Deep and Divine, Enter This Heart of Mine. I believe this was a Sufi dance that I once did, but this is a good chant for just coming back to the moment. Om Peace Deep and Divine, enter this heart of mine. Om Peace Deep and Divine, enter this heart of mine. You can sing along and notice as you sing these words, your mind starts to come down into your heart, into your body, slowing down, right? Om Peace Deep and Divine, enter this heart of mine. And then it goes, oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So in the show notes, I'll give you a place where you can listen to that song and learn it. It's a very good song for mindfulness. There's a heating pad on this chair for the cats, but I'm noticing it's making me too hot, so I'm going to move it. It's like, oh, I thought I was having this great Kundalini activation. It's like, no, I'm just sitting on a heating pad. So one of the greatest tools that we have for quieting the mind is the breath. And one of the greatest ways to really come into the body is through breathing through the nostrils. Now, when a baby is born, that baby doesn't even think of breathing through the mouth. It's completely not in that baby's makeup to breathe through the mouth. Ah, the lawnmowers, the busyness of life, right? It's like, so the baby breathes through the nose. Our body is naturally geared to breathe through the nostrils. And if the nostrils are stuffed up, you've got to take like a turkey baster and get the nostrils unplugged, or that kid is going to be kind of suffocating. We don't learn to breathe through the mouth until way later. And so the nose breathing, nostril breathing is the best way to connect to the body. So let's just take a few breaths into our nostrils. Let's try covering up the left nostril and breathing through the right nostril. And let's exhale, covering up the right nostril, breathing out the left nostril. All right, this is alternate. nostril breathing, and I'll put a link to this in the show notes as well. So I'm just going to take us through a little cycle of this breathing just so we can feel it. So place your index finger on your forehead so that you have one thumb covering one nostril. Let's start with the right nostril, cover that, and breathe in through the left nostril. Good. Now take your middle finger and cover the left nostril. Breathe out the right nostril. Good. And now cover it up again. Breathing in. And then cover the other one in. At the bottom, you're going to hold before you breathe in. Making me cough. So this is alternate nostril breathing, and this is really helpful for slowing down the mind. Now, also, whenever you're looking at slowing down the mind, you've got to look at trauma. Trauma is what causes the mind to be overly active. So we know that we need our mind. We need our mind to function in this world. And we also know that the mind, when it's out of balance, can really take us away from peace, from joy. That can be found in the present moment. And so it's important to understand that if that mind is super active and active in a way that feels out of control, it is because there is trauma. I always look at the analogy of dancing on a hot stove. The mind, when it's overactive, it is a defense mechanism that is ejecting you from your body because it's too scary and painful to feel what's in the body. And so breathing will bring you into the body. It will bring you into emotions. Another thing that will bring you into the body is pressing on your kidney points. So right underneath your collarbone. You know, if you're a male and you're wearing a tank top, it's about halfway from your nipples to the top of your shoulder. And about halfway in, you're going to find these points. For women, you know, it's like right where your bra strap or your bathing suit top, halfway down from the nipple to the shoulder, and then a couple inches in, right under the collarbone, you're going to find your kidney points. Now, more often than not, those kidney points are going to be sore. When you're not in your body and present, your kidney points will be quite sensitive. So one of the big things you can do is massage. You don't want to go digging right into where it really hurts because that's not very fun. But you do want to just massage the surface and take some deep breaths. You can do nose or mouth, but do focus on connecting to the body. Sometimes I like to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. You can experiment, but press on those points. Find the points that are like ouchy. It hurts, right? It hurts to touch them. It's like, yowza. And press on those. And this can really help you come into the body. Also, it's really, really good to earth, right? To take off your shoes and put your feet right on the earth. This really helps with alkalizing the body. This helps with calming the nervous system. yeah, my kidney points are feeling pretty decent right now. But like when I get on the computer and I start thinking about, I got to do this job, or I got to find that, or I get really into my head, bam, I'll look, my kidney points will just youch, telling me that I've left my center, I've left my body. So press again, come back again. And just tuning in, right? Really checking in. And also, one of the major things, if you're attempting to quiet, silence the mind, come more into presence in the body, is to not ingest stimulants. Like, it's really better to not ingest coffee, energy drinks, any superimposed stimulants. Now, I eat a bit of chocolate here and there. I'm not going to say no chocolate because I can't imagine living without chocolate. But caffeine is a real no-no. In fact, caffeine kind of makes it so that you can't really feel the natural energy that moves through your body, right? Because you have this artificial, this superimposed stimulus coming into your body. Okay, of course, take what resonates and leave the rest, but this is just what I've really found. And CBD, if you take it in small doses, can definitely help calm you and help you sleep at night. So let's find another beautiful song that can help us with mindfulness. This song. So maybe I'll just play this chord. And breathe in and scan your body from the tips of your toes up to the top of your head. Breathe in and breathe out. Begin to soften and expand your belly. And breathing. And just being present. Scan and see where there might be tightness. And just send some love, some light with your intention into your body as you breathe. And imagine you're floating in a beautiful ocean. And the water is made of love. Let yourself be awash. Let yourself be awash in a sea of love. In a sea of love. The same thread, the same love holds us all together. Feel as you breathe in and breathe out, feel your oneness with all living things. imagining yourself, if you can, go outside and really connect to the natural world. But if you're listening to this podcast, doing something indoors, that's fine. But just send your energy body out to connect with this larger, beautiful energy grid of all living things. We are one with everything. We are one with everything. We are one with everything that lives. Feel your interconnectedness with all life. Feel the web of life that's supporting you, right? And just feel the web of life that is holding you. Feel the web of life. It's all around you now. And breathe. And breathe. Just breathe. Feel the miracle that it is that life is flowing through your body. Life, the great mystery, nobody really knows how it came about, but somehow it's infused into every cell of your beingness, and you have conscious awareness. I mean, what a miracle! So miraculous. I am here in my body. I am here. The simplest things are the things that are the most miraculous, right? Life. So just feel the gratitude that another breath is being handed to you. Another breath is being offered in every moment. And that you're breathing the same subatomic particles as every other human on this earth and every sentient life form. Isn't that amazing? You can chant the tone ah. Ah is the sound the heart makes. Ah. And if there's more than one person in the room listening, you can do harmony. Ah. Pick a note, right? And big breaths. And just rest for a moment in the silence. So there's a great communion in the silence. This communion of mind and heart. There is a peak state called inner peace, and inner peace happens when the mind and the heart come into fusion. And often we don't dwell in this place very often because there's so much going on. I said often twice. There's so much going on, right? There's so many demands that are calling us to the moment. right? To meet the moment and things we have to take care of in this busy world. And yet these moments where we commune with our own heart-mind connection can be the most productive moments, because there in that communion we can receive clarity from our higher self that's telling us, maybe wants to give us a message. It wants to say, if you do this, it will run more smoothly, right? And there's something really important to talk about here, and it's being in the rhythm of the natural unfoldment of manifestation. Because truly, just like a tree, it has its time in the winter. It has its fallow time where nothing is showing up, right? But deepness is happening underground. There are deep things happening. It's preparing for its blossoming time in spring. And so if you have some creations that you're wanting to manifest, and it feels like, it's going so slowly, or there's too many obstacles, then it's probably not the right time. Because when it's the right time, it will be easeful. Things will just flow. And this is really Gene Key 52. Like, if you push against the tide of the rhythm of the organic unfolding, you will be stressed. So you have to use restraint to surrender to the rhythm of the divine unfolding. And gene keys are such a beautiful thing. I'll really be using those a lot in this podcast to help us understand these different themes, because these are the 64 codons in our genetic code. And my neighbor is now vacuuming his boat. Today is like a day of escaping the yard tools and the sounds. So, just coming out of the busyness and being able to rest in the present moment. And we were talking about honoring the unfoldment, the organic timing of all creations, and that everything has a timing. And as human beings, it's hard. We want to make things happen when we want them to happen. Surrendering to allowing things to unfold in their own sweet, beautiful time is not always easy. And I'm going to sing a little song that I created for myself when I was feeling really impatient. And I was just like, oh, geez. And this is about a seed. And this is Gene Key 52. Little tiny seed underneath the ground. Hold on one moment. I must make an adjustment here. The words are little tiny seed underneath the ground. It takes time to grow. And then we say, tick-tock goes the clock. Tick-tock goes the clock. It takes time to grow. Little tiny seed underneath the ground. It takes time to grow. Everything happens in its own time. There is a reason and a rhyme. It takes time to grow. And then the seed says, but I want to grow now. I want it now. I want to be a blossom. I don't know what I'm doing underground. Why is it taking so long? So-and-so is blossoming now. He's already a tree. He's got blossoms everywhere. What about me? And then you come back to the seed again. And you say, everything happens in its own time. There is a reason and a rhyme. It takes time to grow. And the clock is ticking by. Tick tock goes the clock. Tick tock goes the clock. It takes time to grow. Let me make the sound of the growing seed. It takes time to grow. So that's really the wisdom of Gene Key 52 as we move from impatience to timelessness through the gift of patience. That beautiful virtue of patience. And the only thing that enables us to be patient is if we're feeling good in our body in this now moment. And if our brain is running from trauma, dancing on the hot stove, and there's not much peace, and we're feeling haggard and pushed to achieve, we're not going to be very patient because we're not enjoying what the body's doing. We're not enjoying the feeling of being alive in the moment, right? My husband has, in his life's work, he has Gene Key 20, and Gene Key 20 is about deepening into presence. And so mindfulness. Gene Key 33 is all about mindfulness. You can go to genekeys.com and you can get your free profile actually, and you can buy the book and explore what your map is, where your 11 gene keys are that really, out of the 64 codons, there are 11 that are in the hologenetic profile. And you can start exploring those. It's amazing. You start reading the book and you're like, whoa, how does this book know who I am? And yeah, I can't recommend Gene Keys enough. I do Gene Key readings. If you do get your chart and you want a reading, contact me. But yes, so Gene Key 52, surrendering to the unfolding rhythm of life. So there's a sacred marriage between the masculine and the feminine. And when the masculine is wrapped up in tons of cognitive activity, he cannot be present with the feminine in the heart and in the body. And so as we come into that sacred marriage, that's where we feel this juiciness of life, right? This real fruitfulness of life. And we feel this love, this communion with our own masculine and feminine. I mean, this is what is underneath all awakening. This is what is our divine blueprint. It is this oneness between the masculine and the feminine that brings the electric and the magnetic together and creates light, right? This ignites our solar sun. It's what we crave. There's, there's an episode here where I talk about romantic love activation. This is giving us the map of the communion of the mind and the heart and the body. And so, yeah, Madeline is just waking up from her nap. Madeline knows how to be present. She's my cat. She just has that blissful look on her face almost all the time, unless she's very queenly. If something bothers her, she looks up like, "Oh, well, I never." But when she's in her napping and visiting her star family on Lyra, she's like the peaceful, blissful lioness. And we can learn presence from animals. This is another place where we can really be educated. What is presence? Look in the eyes of an animal and you'll be like, whoa. I remember going to visit the tigers. And as sad as it was that tigers were in enclosures, not really cages, but enclosures. It was a pretty nice place, actually, that we visited in southern Oregon, Cave Junction, I believe it was. And we saw the tigers. Now, when I came to this tiger enclosure, that tiger was just so present. I looked into that tiger's eyes and I was like, oh my God, goddess. Everything, this transcendent presence was behind those eyes staring at me, and I was mesmerized. I mean, mesmerized by this animal. It's like I looked into that gaze and my whole being just like landed in my body, looking back at him through my own eyes. And I was like, whoa. And later I asked my friend who channels the angels, like, what was that? And they said, well, that's presence, beloved one. That's presence. In a human mind, we have this complexity of the cerebral cortex that can perceive time, right? Like animals, I think, maybe 10 minutes into the future at the most they can perceive. So they're very in the moment. But humans, man, we can perceive way out into the future. We can drive ourselves crazy. We can dredge up the past, project it into the future, and take ourselves on a ride and not be present at all. But animals, they don't have that choice, right? They're not born with that set of features that allows them to distract themselves, divert themselves, hijack their present moment energy into the frontal lobes of the cerebral cortex and watch a hologram while true life is really happening. Remember John Lennon, what did he say? Life is happening while you're making other plans. I mean, that's genius, right? So that tiger, man, he looked into my eyes and I was like, whoa, I am really here with you, bud. It was so hard to leave that tiger. I wanted to go right into that enclosure with him and just lay down in a snuggle and just stare into his eyes. Of course, he probably would have made mincemeat out of me, but I've also done that with horses. You just gaze into a horse's eyes and it's just like, wow, such love. I think horses have a heart field that's like 5 times as large as the human heart field. And so you gaze into a horse's eyes and it's this heart field. If you're present in your heart with that horse in its heart, it's like ecstasy. The heart field spreads out so wide. So these are things you can visit horses, or if you have horses, and of course cats and dogs and just beautiful, beautiful animals. And as you move into the plant world, the trees, right? The trees have this exquisite presence. The natural world is not hung up in the mind grid. So the more you can be in nature, it will lead you to this place beyond the cerebral cortex of the left brain. It will lead you into presence. I remember just laying on the grass and watching the beetles, the tiny bugs, getting down like a microscopic view and seeing how, that bug is crawling across that piece of decomposing leaf. And just like laying on my belly for an hour and just watching everything around me in this microscopic, tiny piece of land, right? But there's so much happening, and everything is happening in the present moment. How cool. All right, I think let's just come back to the breath for a minute. Feeling your mind holding hands with your heart. Imagining this masculine figure standing with your feminine on the land of your heart. Even rooting down into your solar plexus, even into your belly, down through your sexual organs, down into your root, and putting some roots right down into the earth. And feeling your masculine and your feminine together. I'm going to sing this one song. I went on a tour called The Portal to Ascension, and I had to come up with a song. Little did I know that I was going to fall in love with the man on that tour, and it was going to be the most massive activation, maybe of my whole life. But this song was telling that story. So I will sing that song. Okay, let's see. Lover and beloved, join us. Let's find the chords. It's been a while. Lover and beloved, join us one as we open the door to the sun. That was his part. He sang it with this big booming masculine voice. Oh, he was a beautiful singer. And then I sang, lover and beloved, join us one, and we open the door to the sun. Then we sang together, you and I joined together, form the portal. We form the portal to God. And then in his beautiful voice, he would sing, there is a sacred cathedral in everyone's heart, where everything joins together that once was torn apart. And I sang, there is a sacred cathedral in everyone's heart, where everything joins together that once was torn apart. Can you feel your masculine and your feminine holding hands, standing on the ground in your body? You and I join together, form the portal. We form the portal to ascension. And that was kind of our theme song on the Portal to to Ascension tour, right? And this is the unity that happens when the magic of the electro, the masculine energy, meets the current of the magnetic, the feminine energy. And after we play that, the first time I played that song, we ended up like making out for like 2 hours. Yeah. It was crazy, the attraction between us. It was insane. I later learned that it was a planetary level activation of the masculine and feminine, and that's why it was so powerful. But so as the mind unravels, as the mind lets go of its separate agenda and comes back to the heart, that's when we get the magic